Welcome to the regular scheduled board meeting for Pocahontas School District. I'll open it up for Dr. Arbuckle.
Okay, we'll go straight to the agenda. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting from March 17th and the special, the work session that we had on April 7th. Obviously, if you have any questions about those, then I will, there is going to be an item 4.1 that will be somewhat of an update to what we did that evening, what the board did that evening with regards to the Booster Club donation. The minutes are accurate, but I am going to bring your attention to a small change that we made in the admin office based on your approval. If there are no questions, then we would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve these minutes, previous minutes. Everybody in favor say yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, the next item is our presentation and report. This is our monthly student achievement report, and so just wanted to bring your attention to spring testing has started. In fact, it started today, and so I happened to visit with Caleb at the end of the day. He said that things went pretty smoothly for day one. And no issues there. You've got in your packet just the calendar or the schedule. We started pre-K, so we chose to participate in a pilot that DESE is running for pre-K summative. It'll give us information about where our pre-K kiddos ended the year, and so that's a good thing. We're running that until it's finished, and that's a sort of a labor-intensive testing because, you know, if you think about it, 4 and 5 year olds, you have to go through it verbally with them, right? And so it's one person sitting with one kiddo. They're reciting the alphabet, they're making sounds, things like that. And so it's pretty labor-intensive, but I think it'll be good information for us moving forward. You've also got there that the elementary school, they'll start testing tomorrow and running through the grade levels there. We started with the junior high and high school today. And you can see that most of the grade levels, all of them are doing reading and math. Most are also doing science and writing as well, so you've got that information. I also wanted to bring the board's attention to the Atlas letter grades. You may or may not have seen some of that information come out from DESE recently. So the state board is currently reviewing those letter grades. We do have a copy of them, and we are going over those at the admin building. We have been asked by DESE not to release those because they could change. And the reason they might change is because the state board has to agree on the rules. And if the state board were to change the rules, then the grades may change. And so, you know, I thought the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to send that message out there. And then since DESE has asked us to keep that embargoed until the state board gets done looking at them, then I would expect that once DESE gives us the go-ahead, they will release that information publicly. I think we'll have more to look at and more to go over in the May board meeting. That's when the state board's going to review that and take a look at it. So I'm anxious to bring that information to you, to give that information to our administrative team so that they can have that, but until DESE sort of unlocks that, that's tough to do. Now, also as a reminder, the next set of grades is scheduled to come out in August. because these go back to last spring's test, and it took them this long to get that figured out. Going forward, it should be faster, and that's where August comes in to play. Is it not working for you?
Did Maynard post their, did anybody see a post by Maynard?
There are a lot of districts that are posting them.
I can't find it now, but it seemed like they posted that they had a C or something like that.
There are a lot of districts that are posting them.
I wonder if they took it down, because I can't find it now.
Any questions about our spring testing schedule or the grades? Okay, first informational item, 4.1, this is the update from March. So if you'll remember, the board approved donating $1 for every ticket sold at the highest attended or the most attended basketball and football game. When we went back and re-looked at the records again, we noticed that the most attended basketball game was actually a junior high game. We had considered the high school only at that point. So because the junior high game was most attended, and I think the way I interpreted what the board wanted to do and what I had recommended was we wanted to donate $1 for the most attended basketball event. Since that was a junior high game, I went ahead and made the decision to provide $1 for every ticket sold at that junior high game, which increased the dollar amount that I gave you by $76. So I just want to make the board aware that it didn't change. I don't think it changed what you voted on. I think the intention was to make sure the Booster Club got the money from the most attended game, and that happened to be a junior high game, and I just wanted you all to know of that change that I made in how I interpreted that. Any questions about that one? Okay, 4.2 is a transportation audit. Every year we have the state come in and they audit different systems. Obviously, a month ago we dealt with the financial audit of the district. This is just bringing your attention to the transportation audit. There were no findings on the transportation audit, so that's good news. It just should give the board peace of mind and should give the community peace of mind that everything that we need to be doing for kids in the world of transportation is getting done. So it's just an extra layer of accountability. Questions about any of that? Okay, we have our first action item, this is 6.1. This is the monthly financials, so you have in your packet the 3 monthly or regular reports that I try to provide, the board report, a revenue summary, and an expense summary. Obviously, if there are any questions about those, be glad to address those. Let's look.
I have one on, first page on the preschool. I know we were running a little deficit till the end of the year, but what struck me is how big the deficit was.
Yeah.
Here it is, April.
I'm
Is
looking.
there some concern there, or is that some money we just haven't got
Well,
in the state? I
no.
know some of those are paid positions.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know the deficit's $28,000.
Yeah, so that is a combination of, if you'll see there, that's a combination of last year in 2024, we had a beginning balance of 17.5. This year, we didn't have a beginning balance in that particular fund. And so that's the difference there. If you see, I mean, the revenue is slightly less. The revenue is about $1,000 less from 25 to 24. So in 24, we got roughly 18,900. So far this year, we've gotten 17,900. So we're about $1,000 off. The revenue or the expenses are very similar, $800 off. So the difference there is going to be the ending balance, the deficit we were running last year, the 9,600, plus the $1,000 increase or decrease in revenue, plus the fact that we didn't begin with a beginning balance this year. Now, why we didn't begin with a beginning balance, I'd have to go back and look at that.
Well, do you anticipate that to be leveled out?
Yes, by the end of the year, yes, sir, I do.
How come the building fund says 10.8 million and not 17? Am I reading it wrong?
You're looking, so 10.7 was the beginning balance for the 3,000 account, but you have to look at the total. The 3,000, the 3,003, and the 3,200 account is what we consider the building fund. So that's the 17 million there at the bottom. Because you have to remember, when we transfer at the end of the year to reduce from our net legal balance, that has to go in 3,200. That can't go into 3,000. But it's all a building fund.
So you said it's got to be in 3,200?
Right. Yeah, so when we transfer at the end of the year,
Oh, there it is, okay.
if
So
you,
you got those out
yeah,
together, okay.
if you increase that, if you magnify that, you'll see
Looking
that
on this over here.
those three is where you get to there.
Gotcha.
The end, remember the final 3 columns or 4 columns are from last year. I try to give you that year over year so you can compare those. So right now, our ending balance in that account is actually $16,397,000.
Make a motion to approve the financial.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financials. Everybody in favor say yes. Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Gary. And Chris, was that seconded by you? Who seconded that? You did? Okay. Okay, item 6.2. One of the things that I've been doing a little research on is the hourly rate of pay that the district provides for above the contract work. And so the last time that I could find in the board notes that this was dealt with was September of 2014. It was in the regular board minutes at that time. At that meeting, the hourly rate of pay was set for $26 an hour for certified and $14 an hour for classified. Since the minimum teacher salary has increased to $50,000, I think it's time that we address that, especially we're getting ready to go into summer. We're hiring migrant individuals to help with the migrant camp. We're hiring individuals to help with the 21st Century Grant kiddos. We're hiring summer school help. And so when you start looking at $50,000 as the base salary for a teacher, that roughly comes out to about $35 an hour. And so I would recommend to the board that we're revisiting this hourly rate of pay and that we increase that work. If we're having work done above the contracted hours, so we're talking about tutoring, additional instruction, this summer work, that kind of thing, that for certified that be paid at an increased rate of $35 an hour going forward, and our classified staff at $15 an hour going forward. This also would bring unity to our federal grants, our additional duties, those kind of things. So obviously, if you have any questions about that, be glad to talk about that. Otherwise, we would like to see that increase to both the certified and classified hourly rate.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. The motion is second to approve this new hourly rate of pay. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
6.3 are board policies that have to do with the SMART Core curriculum. And so what you'll see there is that the 4.45 deals with our class of 2025. Well, as we get ready to see that class graduate, there's no need for that policy anymore. And so I'm recommending that policy be stricken from our policies, our student policies going forward. You'll also notice that there are some changes in the SMART Core graduates for 2026, and those changes are highlighted in red. Additionally, there are some pieces that have been taken out. Those in your packet have been crossed out, so you can see what's missing and what's being replaced. And that same thing is happening for the class of 2027. So we would recommend that we approve those policy updates as presented to make the correct changes going forward for the 25-26 school year.
I make a motion to approve the board policy updates.
Second. Yeah, Gary.
We have a motion and a second to approve these policy updates. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, 6.4 you have in front of you is the teacher salary schedule. And so this is the same salary schedule that we've talked about in the past, that we talked about last month, or at the work session, I'm sorry. You've got the year one proposed, which is the salary placement for certified staff for those who were hired before July 1st of 2025. Their base salary continues to be where they were at on the salary schedule. For those who are hired starting this year, so it would really be the contract start date for July 1. So that's anybody that we're hiring new going forward would be $50,000. And then we have a fully certified stipend of $500 for each teacher who's fully certified, and an education stipend, master's at $1,000, specialist $1,500, doctorate $2,000. Now you'll remember that in our conversation, there were the things that we wanted to deal with, that the teachers would like to see in that salary schedule, were the education piece, and then the education and the experience. Sorry, I lost it there for a minute. One of the things I feel strongly about is the fully certified piece, because I think that just gives us a little bit of leg up. And then the loyalty, the years of service to Pocahontas. So you'll see that in year two, we start dealing with the loyalty and the years of experience in Pocahontas. Now, I will also I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that in the legislation that was passed by in Little Rock, so next year we will see an increase in our foundation funding, but the following year we're going to see a decrease. Okay, so it goes up to like 8,200 and then it comes back down to 8,000 ballpark. Okay, now one of the reasons they're doing that is because we pay $234.50 per employee for health insurance. That is the district's mandatory contribution to EBD for health insurance. The state, in that second year, is pulling health insurance from the matrix. What that means is, of that, 8,000, it should have been $8,367 we were going to get. 333 of those dollars would be sent right back to the state for every employee that was on health insurance. So what the state is saying is, in an effort to curb the increases to the district, we're going to pull that out of the matrix. Okay? So that's why the matrix goes down. For us, what it really means is we're going to be to the good about $260,000 $64,000. Okay, so we're not losing any money on it. We'll actually make a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, that we can put back into salaries as going forward for that second year and beyond, okay?
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, very clear, the 26, 27 is proposed.
Correct. You are not voting on the 26, 27 tonight. It is what I would call planned.
Right, yeah.
So 25, 26 is actually what's being proposed for a vote of this board. 26, 27, I'm putting out there as like a North Star. That's where we're going. Now, I also tried to get you a little bit more information. So in your packet, you will see that there is just a one-pager rundown of the salary schedules of several districts around us. 7 districts in Northeast Arkansas. Kind of gives you an idea of where everybody's at and what they're looking at. You'll see that some districts have stipends that are built in various places. Some districts don't. Some districts just have the base pay on their salary schedule. So what I've given to you is I've given to you where Pocahontas falls with phase 1 and then what Pocahontas looks like in phase 2. I think what's a little bit more telling for you is that second 20-year salary comparison. So one of the things that I did was I took what I would think is 4 school districts that are in our, it's the one with a lot of green on it.
What page is it?
Keep going,
Says
81.
keep going.
79.
One more, right there, the one with the green on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you have is on the left side of so the first 4 columns is if I'm a teacher in any one of those school districts, any one of those 4 school districts, and I have a bachelor's degree, over the next 20 years, what is my salary going to be? To the right of that, those 4 columns, is if I have a master's degree, over the next 20 years, what am I set to make? Okay? One of the things that the board said in January was you were really focused on and really wanting teacher salaries to increase, and I am there with you. I applaud the board for making that a priority. So I just wanted to share with you under the phase 1 and phase 2 if we get that far, but under the phase 1, what you'll see is for a teacher who has a bachelor's degree, for the first 10 years of their career, Pocahontas, they're going to make more money in Pocahontas than any of those other 4 districts. Okay, when you get to year 9, it's a wash between the 2 districts that you're looking at there, right? And then 10 through 20, that shifts and we become the number 2, right? So what does that tell me? That tells me that as we bring on that second phase of our salary schedule, I may need to continue to look for ways where those stipends for the experience levels are larger than what they're on paper right now. If, again, to achieve the goal that the board has indicated about salaries of Pocahontas teachers in Northeast Arkansas. Now you can see a similar story there on the master's side. It's the first 7 years, and then it switches to a neighboring district. Again, what that should tell us is that those stipends for experience and loyalty to the district probably need to continue looking at ways to increase those stipends or increase the base pay.
Well, that's what I like about what you put in place, that you can work with those numbers as you see fit. You can increase them. The mechanism's in place. All you gotta do is plug the numbers.
Right, and I think, you know, something like this, I really like this. This gives a visual of where are we at and where do we need to put some attention to work, and it's clear to see that I need to put some attention, we as PBC need to put some attention into those teachers who are with us 10 or more years. And that comes back to either the base pay. Now, the base pay is going to affect everyone, or it's looking at those stipends for experience and loyalty to the district.
I had a question I thought a while ago. On certified, that's certified in the area they are teaching, correct?
Yes.
They could be certified in something else.
As long as they're teaching, yes, they could be certified in something else. Here's kind of the way I'm looking at it. If they hold a standard license, then they're certified in what they're teaching. So if I hold a provisional, that doesn't count. If I hold an emergency teaching permit, that doesn't count. If I'm on a long-term sub, that doesn't count. It's one of those things where if they're on an ALP, I would like to go ahead and consider that and an ALP is an additional licensure plan. What that is that's a teacher who has a standard license in, say, science or math, and then maybe we've asked them to go over and teach computer science. They might be on an ALP for computer science, right? In that instance, I would want to go ahead and give that teacher that $500 because A, they are fully certified, and B, they're sort of doing us a favor, right? They're taking on an additional challenge, and they're on the path towards being certified in that particular area. So it's really the standard license is really what I'm after.
I'd like to get some input from the administrators because, like in my situation, I have an HR guy and a CFO that are wanting me to hire carpenters at 18, 19 bucks an hour, but we can't get them to stick around, and so we're going to have to go to 25 to get decent carpenters, you know. You guys kind of see that, you know, when you hire and have a turnover of teachers, you know, what is your thoughts on being behind Highland and maybe slightly behind Maynard on a few areas, but above West Side? I mean,
okay, so keep in mind that for the first 8 years, we are number one.
Yes.
Right? And they haven't seen this document.
Gotcha, okay.
So I want to they're not privy to everything that you're privy to.
Well, I'm looking at that $4,000 to $5,000 more for Highland for a master's or a 16-year plus, and people will drive to my lumberyard to save $100. So I feel like they'll drive to Highland to get a job there, you know, to make $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 more, you know. And I know Highland's a little far for us, but at the same time, you know, you can clearly see they're trying to encourage high experienced, well-educated teachers by that graph, you know, because they're anywhere from 52 to 56. You know, they're $4,000 higher than we are in those areas. You guys thoughts on it? I mean, you guys are the ones hiring, right? I mean, you kind of. I mean, are we getting decent employees, teachers?
I will say this year's been a lot better for the quantity and quality of employees, potential employees that have applied for positions we have.
Good.
You know, I can say just my 2 cents would be, I don't see somebody that's going to be at Pocahontas for 9-10 years if we've created the culture and the environment and we've supported them as administrators. They're going to jump ship and drive to Highland just because of the. I don't hear people leaving say that, and that's the reason.
That, to piggyback off that, I think our local student, the goal is there to create that culture too. Yeah, we want you here, but a lot of us here, you know, former students, gone to school here to create that culture too. We want to hire around that again. So to be able to market, we're one of the best paying around is a quality too. So
I feel like if have to look at too of what your school needs, because Highland may be trying to retain what teachers they have, whereas our school's got a lot of new teachers and a lot of freshmen. I mean, maybe they just have older, I mean, I think, but the goal is there, and like you said, it's year 8. I mean,
They
so
could have
it's-
competition from Mountain Home, you know. or
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean,
But the other thing is too, that goes back to the point I've been trying to make, that the separation problem that we have here has got to get bigger. The experienced teachers are the ones who got dealt the shorthand or the short stick or whatever during this Learns Act. So by getting more competitive, Highland achieves both areas, in my opinion, makes it more competitive with all the school districts and achieve what I think us as a board need to achieve, and that's greater separation between the experienced teachers and the new ones.
What is this proposal? Is that the
I know that's
300,000
next
a
year,
year?
but I'm just saying.
Do I now?
I agree.
Is this the 300,000 a year proposal? That's what
Yeah,
costs
this
us?
is the one that we've been talking about.
300,000.
Yeah.
And I know that's maybe gonna be addressed with next year's package, but I do think.
And I think,
On the surface, it needs some work.
and I think that's the, I think that's the conversation or the direction that I need, right? Is what timeline are we gonna be satisfied with, right? I'm not saying happy, because happy and satisfied are different things, right? So, I think we can get we get ourselves closer there with this 2-year phased-in piece, right? And then the state's gonna come back. I mean, when you listen to the House Ed committees, they're still talking about Cozart's plan to completely change the way schools are funded, right, in 2 more years. So again, we have a 2-year plan to address, a 2-year plan from the legislature. Now, if as a board, we're saying, okay, it's not, we want it to go up even faster, then there are going to be some other decisions that the board's going to have to make, and I'll be glad to carry those out, whatever that looks like. Right now, I feel like, I also feel like there's a desire to balance that. We want to be conservative, and we want to make sure that we get, as much money for teachers as we can, and we have some, I'm going to call them maintenance or facilities projects that we also want to work on, and so that's kind of where it comes back to
Well, that's the way I see this, we've got something. If we vote this in tonight, we've got something, we didn't have anything before.
and it could change
We
by
gotta
next year,
yeah,
because
we
other
gotta
schools are
start
gonna get
with
on board with changing
And I'd
something.
like Chris, I'd hope, that we could increase that at some point. That would be a bigger gap, but it's a starting point.
And keep in
I feel
mind,
really good about it.
this particular plan gets an increase to 91% of our employees, of our certified employees.
Well, I'm all for going for this plan, which, as you know, I was trying to push for a little bit more. But I think next year we need to think about, we're having a $600,000 increase in our income next year. Correct? $300
Yes.
more, times 1,890 students. So, we're getting an increase in what we're bringing in. Just keep that in mind next year, so.
Maybe we could add more to that,
Well, I think some of this will kind of settle out too, once we figure out what's going to go on with the new school. I still think that's the thing hanging over us, that everybody's a little bit cautious about until we have a number, at least to work from with that.
Was it 7,900 this year? Is that what it was? 79 something?
77 something.
77, 71.
And it's going to 8,200?
No, it's, yeah.
Change.
I believe it's,
330. So actually 600 something thousand.
We're talking about that, and I think it's in here if I'm mistaken, but, we've talked a lot about our staff and teachers, but, to keep a good administrators, I think we need to, be sure to include them in that also.
so the next agenda item is the administrative salary schedule, 6.5.
Oh, they're fine.
This, the teacher salary schedule, PPC's approved it.
Yes, PPC approved it, and they approved it about a month ago in anticipation of the state approving the They wanted to be ready to go. As soon as the state approved it, they wanted to be able to get this in front of the board as quickly as possible.
I'll make a motion to approve the teacher salary schedule for the school year 26.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve this new salary schedule. Everyone in favor say yes. Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, and so to Gary's point, the next item, 6.5, is the admin salary schedule. And so what you'll see there is you'll see that there's a little bit of a change in that these indexes are going to arrange, and you'll notice that the indexes are slightly lowered. The reason that those indexes are lowered is because next year my intention is to change how we calculate the admin salary positions. And so in the past, the placement on the salary schedule has been multiplied by the index, and then in essence, administrators have been told the salary is for a 240-day contract. Okay, and we are one of two school districts in the region, could maybe one of two in the state, but I know one of two in the region that do it that way. The other would be 12 in the Northeast Arkansas Co-op do it a little bit more like what I'm accustomed to in previous positions, which is that you're going to divide by 190, which is the number of days. So you're going to take 50,000 or wherever they're at on the salary schedule, divide by 190, multiply by the index, and then multiply by the number of days, the length of the contract. So in essence, for all of those that you see there, assistant superintendent, high school principal, junior high principal, all of those are going to be 240-day contracts. So you're taking the daily rate, using the multiplier, and then multiplying by the 240 days. That ensures that administrators are paid for every day that they're on contract. That is, and I'll just say this, that is the way we have been calculating teacher extra day contracts for years. If you're a football coach and you're on a 205-day or you're on a 210-day contract, that's the exact way we've been calculating those teacher contracts. I'm not sure why we didn't originally do that with administrative salary contracts, but we haven't, and I just think it's time to align the way we calculate those contracts so that all of the extra day contracts in the district are calculated the same way.
You said that the index numbers went down. Does this ensure that nobody's salary goes down?
Nobody's salary goes down, and even bringing some of the indexes down, it brings up the salaries. And I did in my calculations, although I didn't bring them to you, I obviously could, but in my calculations, one of the things I did was I researched other districts, just like I showed you this evening with other districts, the way we did it with classified last year. You remember I looked at other school districts in the area and said, okay, what are they making? So I went and I looked, what in our area, in 4A, 4A in this area, what is it a high school principal, an elementary school principal, an assistant superintendent, what's the market call for, right? Taking a page out of your book, what's the market call for? And then what does that look like? And so these salaries, these indexes reflect all of those factors, and I think bring us in unity with our administrative contracts, our teacher contracts, and brings a little bit more parity to us as a district in regards to our neighbors.
So will all of the administration receive this stipend as well?
Yes, everybody except the superintendent.
Have you figured the dollar amount this is going to go up in our budget?
Yeah, I think I gave it to you.
I guess there's probably only, 15 or 18 people? We're only talking like 15 people, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a big item, right?
Let me go to my drive. I can tell you what it was because I figured it out. The increase is $37,685.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrative salary schedule for school year 26.
We have a motion and a second to approve the administration new salary schedule increase. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, 6.6, this is an item that we have talked about, and we've actually heard reports from Coach Brewington and Mr. Green on our proposed shooting sports team for the district. One of the things I realized, though, is I didn't feel like I had asked for actual authority, permission to do that. I feel like that's something everybody's on the same page about, but I did want to get it on record that this was a board-approved activity that we're adding to our offerings here in Pocahontas. And so I would I would recommend that, let's see where to go. I just lost it. Asking for official approval to undertake of this program, the shooting sports team, so that we can undertake the search for a coach, identification of a stipend. I need to work with PPC on what that's going to look like, so I can bring that all back to you in May.
Did we come up with an idea of what grades it was going to be offered to?
We talked about,
There's a junior and senior division.
Junior and senior division? Okay, so junior high, high school. Did you say 5 through 8?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
We have a motion and a second to give approval to undertake a search for information about this. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you for that. Okay, item 6.7, this was an addition that I made to the agenda earlier today. One of the things that we have an opportunity to do is what I'm going to refer to as a maintenance project for the junior high office. Bethany's worked really hard over this year to bring unity to this building, the way the building is laid out. Obviously, you know that we have some MD offices that are used here. We're also adding the ERISA counselor that the board approved. She'd like to make some moves with the SRO and things like that. And so we have an opportunity to kind of move some furniture around in our house, right? Once we move that furniture around, we're gonna realize that we need to do some work, what I'm gonna call heavy maintenance in that office to the floor. We'd like to get new furniture. We'd like to redo those offices. One of the goals that Bethany has, and she sold me on it, that we're going to use it for board meetings as well, is creating a conference room in there that we could use for our executive sessions, things like that. They would be able to use it. They don't have a good place right now to do SPED meetings, LPACs, meet with parents, things like that. And so we have an opportunity to do some of that work, and I've got some specifics for you if you'd like. But basically, what I'd like to do is I'm seeking approval this evening to do that what I'm gonna call a heavy maintenance project. We expect that we can get into it and get it done, and we're talking floors, painting, and furniture for at or under $40,000. We've already gotten some quotes on some of that. We feel pretty good about that. So since we're already relocating various staff members here in the junior high, and it gives us this window to do some of this work this summer, we'd like to be able to do that. In order to do that, I feel like I need your approval to move forward with that.
Make a motion to.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to start project up to $40,000 for a model of the office area in the junior high. Everybody in favor say yes. Yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, our final action item is an Act 1599 resolution. I was made aware today that the high school did some work with Destiny Blissenbach for photography, and under state law, because she's also an employee with us, contracting with the school district requires board approval, since this is a private business anyway, so just need that approval.
This is dated for August 21st.
August or April?
August.
Okay, then we will get, I will get the date changed on that.
I didn't know if it was like pre-approval.
It
No,
says the period of this contract. will be,
Yeah.
But it just says August farther up, doesn't it?
Okay, we'll get
On the
that
top line,
changed.
so that-
I was looking at the bottom line where it says April. So I'll get the top, we'll get the top line changed before we sign it,
Okay.
if the board chooses to approve it. Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this resolution, Act 1599. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, as far as I know, we don't have anybody here for public comments. And no one reached out to indicate that they wanted to, so at this point, we would need executive session for employment.
All right, we're going to move into executive session for purposes of employment.
Okay, you're back.
All right, we're now back in open session. Do you have some recommendations?
6:40. All right, so the first item is our personnel agenda. So would recommend the approval of the personnel agenda. The personnel agenda includes the resignations of Anthony Hausman and Anna Flannery, the new hires of Sarah Futrell at junior high English, Pat Bodenheimer, junior high English, Hannah Bullock, junior high key coding or high school. We haven't quite made that decision yet. Cassie Platts for ALE. We also recommend our new coach candidate for tennis, Anna Williamson, and then transfers Megan Weston to resource at the elementary school, Luana Staten to a self-contained resource at the elementary school, and Kristen Thielemeyer to 5th grade.
Make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve all these new hires and transfers. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 10.2 is a sick bank leave request. You have that information in your packet. Obviously, if there's any questions, be happy to answer those. Otherwise, would ask for approval of to approve the sick bank leave request as presented.
I make a motion to approve the sick bank request.
Second.
Motion is second to approve this sick bay request. Everyone in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
You also have in your packet the school choice request that we have received to date. Under Arkansas state law, the board would need to accept those school choice requests. So we're making a motion to approve the school choice request for school year 26.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve these school choice requests. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
You have the student transfer there. That's an item of information unless there's any questions. If there's no questions and no other business, we would just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.